The 007 devs seem kinda desperate at this point. They just did an announcement that they have officially sold 1.5 million copies, and that's sold, not players. And honestly, considering everything, doesn't seem really that bad. But then again, that's not really a good future either. We currently have new articles coming out about how much the budget for this game was, which we're gonna get into a little bit later, but spoiler alert! Your boy was right again. Yes, I know it's a miracle how that happens, but it happens a lot. In any case, this post is what seems the most odd thing to me, and it smells like a lot of desperation at this point. Check it out. 1.5 million copies sold. Not bad. Thank you for showing up to the launch of 007 First Light, for your overwhelming enthusiasm, and for sharing your experiences with the game. Well, considering what the experiences that people are sharing here are, it's a little bit questionable should you be thanking them. In any case, then they put the play our reimagined a James Bond origin story today, and then they give you a link where you can buy it. And then there is the post itself, the fancy looking one. And it says 007 First Light, 1.5 million copies sold. And then here, in a smaller text for some reason, 1.5 million sales achieved in the first 24 hours. And this is very interesting because you see, companies love to say millions sold when it sounds impressive. Companies love to say millions sold in the first day or two because that's even more impressive. And here, it's a little bit strange, don't you think? The fact that they mention here in the first 24 hours, and here they don't mention the 24 hours anyway. They just mention copies sold, which is a little bit interesting. And it's here even in small text. Usually they plaster it all over. Remember when Starfield launched and Bethesda was like, millions, billions copies sold in the first days, 2 days, 3 days, weeks? People loved it until the numbers started dwindling and they stopped posting. But people love to see a good number. Good numbers are fun, as they say. I can attest to that. I love good numbers. And here's the deal. The fact that this is different from this, and then you look at the timing. Okay? This is the official 007 First Light account from IOI Games. And by the way, they don't even have the expensive Twitter thing. Cheap, definitely cheap. They need to save money now because money's not looking good, boys. And this was posted on May 28th at 9 p.m. That's 21:00 for my European friends in this situation, so you can follow along. Yes, finally we had to do it the other way around. In any case, this is suspicious and very interesting to say the least. Because that's almost the that's almost the 29th at that point. Which is oddly suspicious considering you'd think you would like to publish the first 24 hour sales a lot sooner if they're that good. So this makes me think that they were actually waiting. Can they say that they have sold 2 million copies in the first 2 days instead of 1 day? Because if they really wanted to do the 1.5 sold in the first day, then they would not do it like this. Then they would be ready to push that button the moment the sales crept in. Which is interesting. By the way, I'm not saying that they're lying about the sales numbers. Companies do not lie about the sales numbers. When they lie about the sales numbers, they use players playing, not actual sales. Because one is liable, the other one is not liable in court. Big difference. And in any case, this 1.5 million seems to be believable because on the first day of launch when we were at 55k, I said that, yeah, they're gonna sell probably 1 million copies very soon because this already could have been 1 million copies. Now, granted, I did say that it's probably not at that point because there's a lot of suspicion about the game, so gamers are not buying. So my assumption is what happened here in reality was People were not buying, people were waiting, and then they started to see reviews and whatnot. And the shill reviews were in strong on this one. I mean, we had Skill Up, we had Luke, we had so many people talking about this early. Wait, was Luke actually one of them? Don't remember, but it's the typical Access YouTubers that were talking about it. So a lot of people were waiting for more reviews than that, but the problem is that no one actually reviewed it too much after it got out. So we only kind of just had clips of people playing it, and what was funny. So at this point, considering this many days have passed, I do think 1 million plus sales have been gotten, because the numbers are pretty decent, and we're probably gonna hit a new all-time peak player count on Steam. And I do think they're gonna hit that 2 million copies sold at the bare minimum, and probably the next day if they haven't already done that. And I would like to say I think it's still probably the most people are playing it on Steam, because this thing is available on Xbox, and well, when you look at the charts of the most played games on Xbox, well, stop me if you see it, because maybe I'm blind, but I mean, this shit is not even breaking top 50. Again, Farm Simulator destroying everyone, and this thing is literally just there because of Germany. Okay, that is not a good sign. So I would assume that all of the players are mostly on Steam. And considering that the graph looks like it's gaining traction and people are not quitting it instantaneously, and that's kind of questionable. But here's the big deal, boys. We now have reports, multiple reports by the way, that the IO Interactive latest action adventure game 007 First Light reportedly has a budget around 200 million US dollars. That's dollar bills, baby. Okay. And it needs a sales of approximately 3 million copies just to break even. Actually it's 4 million. You unmathematical garbage, but that's okay. They're journalists. They lie and have no idea how the world works most of the time. But in any case, this was what I said day one. I think that 007 First Light probably has a budget of 250 million. Lowest case scenario, 200 million, which currently everyone is saying that it does. Again, I still think it's 250, or maybe even closer to 300 million. I don't think it's 350. If it reaches 350, it's never gonna come even close to 400, by the way. But again, 350 and 400, they don't seem even real numbers to me. I think it could potentially be 250, or trying to achieve 300, but it's not above. I don't think it's above. I don't think we're gonna have that news any day soon. So, needless to say, if your game is 200 million in budget, which by the way seems reasonable-ish, but again, I do think it's a little bit low, because you need to look at the history of a game developer. Look at this. Hitman 2 launches November 2018, and it has a peak player base of a whopping 361,000. That's a big number. And this is what all of these game developers always look at. If your previous Hitman game got this much, your next game is expected. Your next Hitman game is expected to at least reach effectively something of 300k concurrent players on Steam. This is how these things go. You never expect things to go down. You expect them to go up, because that's what you're trying to achieve. So the fact that this peak was this big. The 007 First Light, considering it's literally almost a Hitman game, but for idiots, mostly Lamau. It's true. What? It's true. Have you seen the gameplay? The stealth is the most hilarious thing ever. Like, you can suplex a guy 5 centimeters from another guy, and they will never even hear a single thing. And, oh, is it already tapering out? That would be big oof, honestly. Oh, yeah, previously. Look, it's always tapering out here. That is not a good sign. That is not a good sign, honestly. But whatever, we're not gonna get into the graph too much. So yeah, it's not gonna be great. They probably expected more. Again, they need 3 million sales on paper if we're being nice, if we're being journalist smart, to break even though that's not breaking even because you got the minus the 33%, 30% from Valve. Then you have the cameos, the things, the licenses that they bought. This is not even close. Okay, this is not even close. So you, in reality, you need roughly 4 million sales to even consider breaking even. But the fact that I think the sales are gonna go down real hard because currently most people are calling the Hitman game woke. You have IGN giving it a 9 out of 10, which is pretty much a joke. Let's actually see what people are saying. I haven't checked. Don't forget IGN's rating. Yes, Tommy. Anyway, good. 6. Crimson Desert. Lollipop Chainsaw 5. Marathon. Yeah. Masterpiece. It is what it is, boys. It is what it is, and it's not looking good. So it's a 5 mediocre. Yep, that's pretty much, by the way. If we're being completely honest, the 007 First Light game is like a 5. It's mediocre. And again, people are talking mostly negative about it. This is why I think that the sales are gonna kind of crater probably after the next 2 days. Well, after today, no, yeah, the next 2 days. Today is Friday. So because there's so much news. For example, this First Light spoilers. If you don't want to see them, don't skip ahead a little bit. All James Bond superiors are women of color, by the way. The villain is defeated by a woman. A James Bond is rescued at the end by a woman. It's the least masculine 007 game in history. True. Watch this. Yep, she saves him, makes sure he's fine, and then she's just bye-bye. Bye-bye. Yep, that's pretty much it. Very impressive, very modern, do I say the least. And then we have stupid takes like this, because what's a video without reading a couple of stupid takes? Because these people are once again being completely stupid. And then there's one more. Let me get this straight. The usual suspects, why thank you, are upset at the new James Bond game because women challenge him, give him orders, train him, and occasionally save him? Yes. Very observant for you for once at least not being wrong instantaneously. I honestly would applaud you if I did not expect normal people to behave like this constantly. In an origin story? Yes. It doesn't matter if what kind of story it is. The way that it's done is demasculifying. Whatever, you know what I mean. 007 First Light is about a young Bond who has not earned his 00 status yet. I have seen a post where they're talking about he's not 00 status just yet, chud. Of course he screws up. Of course he needs training. Of course people at MI6 are going to tell him what to do. Well, they also tell him what to do when he's actually a 00 status in the movies and whatnot. And women do tell him what to do even there. But it's done in a reasonable, normal fashion, not what the modern day fashion is. Similar situations, completely different things. And that's, by the way, foreshadowing. And yes, some of them are women, all of them are women. Did anyone forget Judi Dench's called Pierce Morgan's Bond a sexist, misogynist dinosaur and a relic of the Cold Wars in GoldenEye? That was 30 years ago. Thank you for proving my point. Thank you for pretty much taking an IQ test in front of us. 30 years ago, this was done in a completely different fashion. This had a completely different meaning, and it even now, still to this day, has a completely different contextual meaning. 30 years ago, this implied she was wrong by default. Now, if you say that in the modern age, this is feminism at its finest. So that's pretty much it. This is a uniquely dumb post as always. And then you have my second favorite dumb posters. Actually, these are the ones that pissed me off. Okay, because you see them in Fallout, you see them in everything. Any franchise that's made from a game is gonna have these people. I don't know if they're tourists or whatever, but man, I hate them the most. And this is a very simple tweet. The nightclub in 007 First Light might be the best scene I have seen so far in gaming history. Only GTA 6 can beat this. Let's ignore the GTA 6 part and let's just see it. It's pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. Now, granted, I do not think it's hard to make this in the slightest. It does have a decent atmosphere, you know, the lights to everything. Yeah, it seems pretty decent, not gonna lie. But I hate this. I hate posts like this. This is literally the same equivalent garbage that you get when you had the Fallout TV show and people were like, oh, that's an Easter egg. The weapons, look at the weapons. They're from the game. They look exactly like in the game. I hate that. I hate these people who literally judge is something good or not based on something so absolutely superfluous as, oh, the weapon is exactly as in the game. It's an Easter egg. I hate it. Easter eggs are fun when someone adapts a game title and they have, you know, the sets looking good, weapons looking like they should and whatnot. That's expected. That's not something that I'm gonna instantaneously fall over and say, "Oh my god, this series is great." No, it's a good thing to have and it should be there. I'm not gonna say the series is good just because of it, but there's this group of people that literally are gonna call this game just good because it had a club section that looked good. There's gonna be people like this. Usually you see them on, you know, again, TV adaptations like Fallout and whatnot, but I mean that's kind of how it is. That's kind of how it is. And these are this is what I hate the most, honestly. Like, dude, really? You saw an Easter egg, and that's why the whole series is good? You should not be given rights, okay? It is what it is. Anyway, 10 out of 10. Have a nice day. Bye. Like the video, by the way. Do it right now. Takes less than a second, and I greatly appreciate you. Thank you. Bye.